Hey there, everybody. In this video, we're going to do an old-fashioned product review, something I haven't done in a while. And I'm going to talk about three products that I have been using together in tandem or thrandom, however you say three things all at once, that I think are pretty dang good and close to perfect. So the first one is this bag. This is by Bags by Bird, and it's his Tail Grab Classic. Absolutely love this tealish color. And what it is basically a handlebar bag attaches to your handlebars with belay straps. What I like about this specifically is its rando style closure. So again, super easy to get into when you're on the bike. You just pull this loop up and over your stem. Other cool things for such a smallish bag, it's pretty feature rich. I've got a nice front flap pocket here, as well as pockets on both the sides. One nice touch here is that on the side pockets is a little grommet hole. So if it happens to rain, you're not going to fill up the side of the bag with water. So lots of really thoughtful touches like that. On the inside, you've got a bright yellow contrasting interior, really easy to find things in there. There are kind of side pockets also. So I guess there's like a little bit of organization. This bag comes in two sizes, an 8-inch and a 10-inch. This one is an 8-inch. I thought I would go more minimalist. And it really is like a great size for a day ride plus bag. A little bit more than your typical roadie bag, but not as much as a full-blown rando bag. Another thing I love about it is its shape. It just reminds me of the old school lunch pails I had when I was a kid. So if you're going on a long day ride and need to carry lots of snacks or some art supplies or a camera, or some extra layers, and it's a bit more than what would fit in your typical roadie barrel bag, then this is a great bag to look into. And the way it attaches is with some belay straps. It has a couple of options in terms of where you can place the straps. There's also this lower strap here meant for a head tube. And again, you've got some options to mount it either lower or higher. This bag is very reminiscent of the now defunct Ruthworks. I was working out of the Bay Area. If you miss those Ruthworks bags, this is kind of their spiritual successor and the closest you'll get to something like those bags new. So again, big fan of this kind of more minimalist rando bag, and especially this rando closure. I think it works great on its own if you mount it directly to the handlebar, but I think it works even better with the next product we're going to take a look at. And that is this thing. This is by Caredice, and this is their Bagman front bag support. It's been out for a while, but I feel like it's a little bit of a sleeper hit that's been forgotten in the mix, and it's actually pretty cool. So it's made from a very similar metal as to the typical Bagman support, and instead of going on your saddles, clearly this is designed to go on your handlebar. The way it mounts are with these aluminum clamps. These pop off completely, and you can secure it to the fat part of your handlebar. Without any shims or anything, it's sized for like a 31/8 handlebar clamping area. So typical of modern handlebars. I use this mostly on an aluminum bar. I probably wouldn't suggest it on a carbon bar that, isn't designed to accept that kind of clamping force there. What's interesting about this mount is that you can actually have it set up in two positions. This is in its deeper position mode where it works well with kind of larger Caredice bags or larger Bags by Bird bags or Ron's bags. These rails pop off and they're held in place by these bolts, and you can set it up in another position where it's not as deep and it's a little bit more shallow and better suited to smaller bags, like say the Caredice Barley bag. Personally, I would just set it up in this deeper mode, just because it'll work both well with larger bags and smaller bags. With smaller bags, it won't act so much as a support as a standoff from your head tube. Another reason why I like this orientation is that this big kind of bulky clamp is out of sight of the cockpit. In the narrower position, you have this big block kind of sticking, facing towards you. Not a huge thing, not a functional thing, just a little bit more of aesthetics. I like that cleaner handlebar look. So initially, I did have some concerns about, which stems this would work with. Would this clutter up the cockpit? Would it interfere with the bag straps of, say, the Bags by Bird bag, Caredice bags, or what have you? But where this clamps on the stem is actually fairly narrow and central. So still plenty of room, doesn't get in the way of your hands or potential bag straps. Some would probably compare this to something like the Jack the Rack. Unlike the Jack the Rack, this curves upward, so not as well suited to putting something like a basket on top of this. Although you could probably use this as a standalone support and just bungee things on. You'd have to get a little bit more creative because there are no kind of holes to run cordage through or webbing straps through, but possible if you want to deal with it. With my time with this front bag support, I've used it with smaller bags, middle-sized bags, and larger-sized bags. And to my surprise, it stayed fairly level. There was no sign of slipping. Again, this is just aluminum on aluminum, and it seemed to work pretty well without leaving too much marring on the handlebar itself. I know that's one problem that some people report with the Jack the Rack supports. With that bungee, there is a little bit of free play that kind of abrades the clamping area, but with this, it's been fairly rock solid, no sign of slipping whatsoever. The next product I'm going to talk about is this one. I talked about this a couple months ago, but it has been updated, and it is the Rossmann mount. And what it is basically a magnetic mount that allows you to use your Garmin or your Wahoo on any bag, even if it doesn't have a Garmin or Wahoo mount. Pop it off a second here. Basically, it's two 3D printed pieces with lots of really strong rare earth magnets that sandwich together over any bag, giving you a place to mount a GPS unit. You could actually, these are probably strong enough that you could put them on backpack straps. So if you want to use your cycling GPS unit as a hiking one, this will help you do that. I will say these magnets are super strong, so you want to make sure your fingers don't get squashed when they snap together like that. Again, it works both with Garmin and Wahoo mounts. And what's unique about this new one is that it's got this little area here where you can put an AirTag. I know some of you may be wondering, why would you want to do this? It could act as a low profile, like anti-theft device. If someone just walks away with your bike, you can at least track the AirTag there. I think another interesting use for it is to actually just find your GPS device at home. I'm constantly moving this from bike to bike to bike in between different bags. There are lots of times where I wish the Garmin itself worked with the Find My feature on the Apple phone. With this little Apple AirTag Pocket, you can kind of give it that functionality. These are three products I've been thoroughly enjoying over the last couple months. They just work really, really well together and by their own. Highly recommend all of them, all the links below. If you guys enjoyed this look at three interesting and unique bike products that other bike media outlets probably won't cover, then please consider supporting us on Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. That's the best way to do it. It gives us a budget, it lets us have a schedule, we can travel and make more interesting content for the YouTube channel that isn't so reliant on sponsorship. That's it for this video. You know what to do. As always, keep the supple side down.